Good evening, anarchists everywhere. Welcome to the second in the series, Anarchism in the UK, when I'll be talking to 6 veteran anarchists that I like to call the Freedom Pass anarchists, still growing old disgracefully and all over 60. I'm Ian Bone, a Freedom Pass anarchist myself. At one stage this week, it looked as if this collapse of capitalism might be at hand and the programme might be superfluous to requirements. However, capitalism proved as adaptable as ever, and the glorious age of libertarian communism has had to be bestowed yet again. One anarchist who has been growing old disgracefully for longer than most is today's guest, John Rety. John Rety was editor of Freedom, the anarchist newspaper from 1963 to 68, and has been behind the Torrio Poets and Hearing Eye publications ever since. Welcome, John, to the programme.
Welcome indeed.
Okay, John, when did you first become aware of anarchist ideas?
Quite late, really. I must have been about 13 or 14.
Quite late.
We were discussing among our friends what kind of political systems would suit us best, and that was the first time I heard about anarchism.
And that would have been, I should have said you were born in Hungary in 1930, so that would have been during the war when you were still in Hungary?
It was during the war, yes, during the war. The war started when I was 9 years old, which didn't really please me at all. No. It was, like all wars, devastating, but it's devastating first and foremost to children who are growing up who haven't got a clue why their parents have gone completely berserk. And I must say that I had an excellent family. I got no criticism of my family, but after the war broke out, bit by bit they lost their cool, so to speak.
So how did anarchist ideas manage to surface in Budapest in the middle of World War II?
Well, I mean, you would imagine that in a war situation, everything is just war, but clearly life continues in any circumstance, and as children we try to ignore the madness of our peers, or adults, or whoever they were, and really try to remove ourselves from the system as much as we could.
You came to England in 1947. How long was it then before you got involved with other anarchists?
Well, I mean, I had some knowledge of English, but I had to sort of adjust myself into it. I was working for a book publisher, straight after I arrived here, who couldn't speak a word of English, and I was supposed to be the person who could help him, but there you go. He went bankrupt in 1950. Very nice man, but went bankrupt. And I found myself without a job, and I just walked around town. I went into a coffee house where there were lots of artists and writers, and I stayed there for several years.
Did you get a coffee in while you were there?
The coffee was not terribly good. It was the company. It was in Trafalgar Square. I took the attitude that, like most people, I don't know if anybody is listening to this who are about my age that will remember that after the war, nobody wanted another war. There were 2 or 3 years of determined effort, but then Korea was the first war, and then of course I became interested in anarchism when the nuclear issue was aired by Bertrand Russell and the rest of them. I joined the Committee 100, And I suppose I marched to all the Marston like the rest of them.
Yeah, the Committee of 100 then was the sort of more militant outcome of CND, who wanted to organise sit-downs in the streets and mass arrests in Trafalgar Square and so on.
That's right, that's right. I was convinced about the anarchist case, believe it or not, reading an editorial by In Freedom, which was sold then in the Charing Cross Road. I don't suppose they sell it nowadays. In the Charing Cross Road by Vernon Richards. Now, he was quite a controversial character, but he could write a long piece which had a beginning, middle and end. And he convinced me that the only, and this is the problem, that he convinced me at the time that only the state has the resources to fight a nuclear war or even have nuclear weapons. Of course, in those days, that argument could have held, but maybe not today.
Yeah. So, did you get arrested during any of the sit-ins? Did you sit
As
down
a matter of fact, I have not been arrested once, although I was there.
Yeah.
I nearly got arrested once when I was in a demonstration, but I put aside for some reason, and then I could just walk out of the station, which I did.
And what about, were you involved with the Spies for Peace at all, who published the, you don't have to admit to it, the Spies for Peace, when they publicised the addresses of the regional seats of government?
Not personally, no, I wasn't involved, but I possibly knew the people. I wished it's such a long time ago, and I wish some of the people are still alive who know about it could say something about it, because clearly those regional seats of government are either still there or not.
Yeah, yeah.
Huh?
That's about when I came onto the scene, was the Aldermaston marches, ran about late on the ones, I think ran about 64, 65.
Yeah.
And I vividly remember seeing you with a very dashing red and black neckerchief on, mobilising a load of anarchists towards Trafalgar Square. It was all, I was the sort of callow youth anarchist, and it was frightfully exciting. Basically, we were just stopping, letting the gap, and then running, but it was all very exciting. I remember you cut an especially romantic figure in my imagination.
I haven't got that red and black handkerchief anymore. It was given to me by Michael Garcia when he was released out of Spain.
Because that was the first wave of sort of radicalisation after the war, the CND, Committee of 100 and so on. So how did you then go on to get involved with Freedom?
Well, Philip Sansom, who was one of the editors of Freedom, and he was an excellent draftsman and very good speaker, got me to speak in Hyde Park. And I think... and then afterwards, I organised some readings at the Lamb and Flag pub, which was very difficult for anarchists to meet anywhere in London, because the police are always after them and tell the landlord not to have meetings.